The investigation into an Orem man who police say possessed 71 pipe bombs continues. Tonight, how neighbors are reacting to the startling discovery.
New cars, an apartment in Salt Lake, a refurnished office, and a bidet. All things bought by the former president of Utah State University using school funds. I'll have reaction from students and the university.
2 years ago, I did a story with the family dealing with a scary situation that they didn't see coming. I'll show you why they say they have a reason now to celebrate.
Seeing the sunshine before the storm, this next storm coming in with some rain. Is it enough to water your lawn? I'll let you know.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Evans. We begin tonight with an update on a story we've been tracking the past few days in Utah County. Authorities are continuing to investigate after police found a man outside the Provo Town Center Mall with 4 pipe bombs in his car. That suspect is 41-year-old Eric Whitaker of Orem. We learned over the weekend police officers found 71 homemade explosive devices inside Whitaker's apartment. Investigators say he previously served in the military. They're now looking into his potential motive. Today, Fox 13 News reporter Jeremy Toms went to the apartment complex where Whitaker lives to talk to his neighbors.
What started with a call into police about a man in a car brandishing a weapon
I think it's a crazy world.
turned the Provo Town Center Mall
It's pretty quiet. It's a dead mall. Just doesn't have a lot of traffic.
into a frenzy of activity on Friday. Kathy Mitchell's daughter has an art studio there, saying she was fortunate to be home at the time.
What first came to my head is this world, our country's getting angrier, more and more angry, and more violent.
While in Provo, police say they found Eric Whitaker with 4 pipe bombs. Hours later, that led them to the steps of Angelina Starr's Orem apartment.
All of a sudden, I heard banging on the door and telling us that we needed to evacuate immediately.
Starr left her dogs behind.
Would you have left your dogs in there if you'd known what was going on?
Probably not.
Something she regretted when she learned they found 71 more pipe bombs. Provo's police chief has bomb squad experience, and he tells us that these devices were designed for one sole purpose: to cause mass casualties.
Why are you carrying pipe bombs and all this stuff in the car unless you intend to do something with it or sell it?
Whatever the motive, what Starr knows is she wasn't safe all this time.
Not really, not if they went off.
And she says it unfortunately stems from not being able to know her neighbors in the way she once did.
So now it's like everybody keeps to themselves. It's really hard to know who's even, across the hall from you.
In Orem, Jeremy Toms, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The case has been handed over to the Utah County Attorney's Office for prosecution. They tell us they are carefully reviewing the evidence and determining what the appropriate charges for Whitaker will be. A suspect has been charged with fatally shooting a woman in the middle of a street in Ogden earlier this month. The victim, who you see here, 40-year-old Nakina Youngman of Salt Lake, was in Ogden on the night of April 2nd when she was shot on 800 North. She was taken to the hospital where she died. On Friday, 37-year-old Ana Maria Zaragoza was charged with murder, obstruction of justice, and possession of a weapon by a restricted person in connection with Youngman's death. A Florida man has been charged with aggravated kidnapping, accused of flying to Utah to marry a 17-year-old girl. 33-year-old Alex Guy of Mulberry was arrested yesterday, hours after the girl's mother reported her missing from their Utah County home. Court documents indicate a friend told sheriff's deputies the girl had been speaking with Guy online and she was likely with him. The Utah County Sheriff's Office used GPS data from the teen's AirPods to find her and the suspect in Wyoming. Guy admitted he had been talking to the teen online for 3 months. He's being held in jail without bail. Now to an update on a story we first told you about 2 years ago. Fox 13 News reporter Mythili Gube profiled a University of Utah student, Brian Maynard, who suffered a rare spinal stroke. This week, he'll reach a major milestone. Today, Mythili caught up with Brian on his road to recovery.
I like the boss battles and stuff like that.
Brian Maynard is an artist and now designs video games too.
So each little input is bound to sipping and puffing.
He used to be able to draw with his hand, but now uses adaptive technology.
My mouth. To just be able to draw and use my creative mind like I did before has really helped.
Almost 2.5 years ago, Brian was a senior at the University of Utah and was visiting home in Cedar City for winter break.
We were trying to figure out what to do, whether, I think it was either go bowling, and then sat down in a chair, was kind of stretching my neck because it was a bit tight from the day before, and then had a extreme pain in my chest.
Brian had a rare spinal cord stroke. I spoke to his mom, Fiona, when Brian was in the hospital days after this happened. She and her husband moved to Salt Lake to take care of Brian.
Well, with your news story last, a friend of a friend had an empty place by the zoo, and they contacted us through Brian's friend's mom, and we were able to stay there for the duration that he was in the hospital, which was absolutely amazing.
Now he is recovering.
It's very, very slow. Worse than watching paint dry.
Brian can move his neck a little bit, but is still in a chair and uses a ventilator to help him breathe.
The hardest thing for me is looking at what I was before versus what I am now.
So when I did a story 2 years ago about Brian's rare spinal cord injury, he couldn't even speak to me. But now he's not just talking, but also graduating with a degree from here at the U.
I thought that I needed my arms to complete my degree.
We hold on to the hope and hold on to any little milestone. And in my book, graduating college when you can't move is pretty amazing.
It's a degree through the U's Games program, focusing on entertainment arts and engineering.
But yeah, if they didn't have the assistive technology that they have now, I don't know if I could.
I don't think you could.
I don't know.
Brian is also doing occupational therapy at the University of Utah Clinic in Sugar House.
Did it.
Working to be able to use his right hand again.
It's always great to be a part of the process of giving patients hope that there's something more that they'll be able to do again and be able to function in a way that's meaningful to them.
Like there's been times where I wouldn't want to try, but I go back to would my past self be mad at me today for not trying? So I just keep pushing forward because that's all I can do.
In Salt Lake City, I am Mythili Gube, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And we encourage you, Brian, to keep pushing forward. We're all behind you. Well, we have another story to share later this week having to do with a Utah teen who has had quite the battle of her own with stroke. Kaylee McSeveny is a 17-year-old competitive dancer from Genola. She suffered a stroke a few months ago, was treated at Mountain View Hospital in Payson, and then St. Mark's Hospital in Mill Creek. The specialists caught it very early, and she's back dancing, as you can see, getting ready to compete at Nationals. Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph will share her remarkable story Thursday night on Fox 13 News at 9. The CDC says if you think someone may be having a stroke, you need to be fast. That's actually an acronym. B stands for checking their balance. E stands for eyes, as in, do they have blurred vision? F is for face. Ask the person to smile. Does one side of the face droop? A stands for arms. Ask the person to raise both arms. Does one arm drift downward? S is for speech. Do they have difficulty talking? Is their speech slurred or strange? And finally, T is for time. meaning it's time to call for an ambulance immediately. A quick response is vital to recovery. Here's a prescribed burn in central Utah over the weekend. The Utah Division of Forestry, Fire and State Lands, along with local and federal partners, successfully burned more than 800 acres south of Levan in Juab County near Yuba Lake. That brings the project total to 1,192 acres burned. You might have smelled a little bit of smoke in the air, depending on where you live, in relationship to those burns. But I'll tell you what, our weather is changing. The air's going to get washed out.
We are looking forward to some moisture and some precipitation in the forecast. Whereas today, a few isolated showers out there. Maybe you were the beneficiary of some rain for your lawn, where the showers moving away. We're seeing mainly partly cloudy skies with a view from our Natural History Museum camera looking west across the Salt Lake Valley. As temperatures, with a low pressure system moving further southward, significantly cooler in some areas. As temperatures about 5 degrees below average here across northern Utah. We topped off at 57 degrees in Logan, 60 in Salt Lake City, low 60s heading over towards Vernal. Today's high in Cedar City, 54 degrees, and only finding 70s in St. George. Currently at 63, though, in St. George, where we've got a string of 40s as we move from Cedar City up through Delta. We're in the 40s at this hour through Cache Valley. Winds not bad, but it's an indication that we still have a cool northerly flow. And in that flow, still some upper level moisture in that we are seeing some clouds, a few isolated showers across southern Utah, northeastern Utah pushing away. Things are clearing out. We've got sunshine in the forecast for tomorrow, but we got a bigger storm on the way. When will it arrive? I'll let you know coming up.
After a gas leak forced hundreds of residents to evacuate the area of South Salt Lake on Sunday night, we're learning more about the incident and the infrastructure underground.
You're watching Fox 13 News, part of the Scripps News Group.
Former Utah State University President Elizabeth Cantwell apparently spent more than $660,000 of taxpayer money in her 18 months in office. Our content partners, the Salt Lake Tribune, report it was on 2 new cars, a $29,000 climate-controlled golf cart, an apartment in Salt Lake, and a major office renovation, including a bidet, among other things. Cantwell is now the president of Washington State University in Pullman, Washington. In light of higher education budget cuts by the Utah legislature and the high cost of post-secondary education, we asked USU students today what they think.
Do you call that a golf cart?
No, it's a little weird. I think, if anything, it's like a glorified golf cart. It looks like a vehicle. My guess is it's probably worth more than my car.
Like, I get you probably want to spend money to like make the place your own your first year, like at a job, but she left and took a different offer, so middle of the semester. So overall it's a little bit funny, but mostly just like infuriating.
And spending all that money, while it could have been an investment for her career here, I really don't think it was necessary, because it takes away a lot of opportunity from these students that are sacrificing their time, money, and energy to try and make paying for school work.
It just annoyed me because I already am struggling trying to find classes and with our budget cuts coming in. And so like I have to I'm trying to even think about transferring right now because of all the unavailability they have told me about classes.
Maybe some of this money isn't being spent well when you have staff who's spending so much money on things that don't go back to the students.
Utah State University administration took issue with many of the points made in the article, including what was called generic upgrades to the president's residence for $104,000. The school says those were for critical repairs not requested by Cantwell and started before her tenure. Administrators also say $33,000 in security upgrades to her office were recommended by campus police, not her. And the USU Board of Trustees has financial oversight, but the budgets they oversee do not have line item detail at the level the article suggests. To read the school's response to the article, go to fox13now.com, and to see the full story written by Courtney Tanner of the Trib, go to sltrib.com. Now to a Fox 13 News follow-up on breaking news we brought you last night regarding a gas leak and fire in South Salt Lake that prompted evacuations. Fox 13 News reporter Julia Sandor spoke with a neighbor who was forced from her home.
But it really grew a good garden.
Just off Silver Avenue sits Kathy Smith's house, and of course her vegetable garden.
Onions, carrots, beets.
But across the street from Smith's sits this debris.
I heard a big boom, and so I thought there was a car accident out in front of my house. Then I went to the kitchen sink and I saw the fire at the end of the street.
Smith says she thought the fire would be put out in just a few hours, but a knock on her door to evacuate told her otherwise.
And then a fireman stopped me and he said, "You can't be on the street because the natural gas line runs under the street, and therefore the whole block can blow up."
So why didn't that happen?
Often when we see an explosion, what's happened is you have an enclosed space where the methane or the natural gas has been accumulating for some time. If it's out in the open, methane is lighter than air and it will dissipate. And so that's often when you see, kind of a singular flame versus an explosion.
Bill Karam with the Pipeline Safety Trust says there are some potential risks that companies look at in the pipe systems, such as aging, corrosion, or cracking. While operators are required to do regular leak surveys, he says the federal regulations are not that strict when it comes to the leak detection and repair.
There's no standards as to what type of equipment they need to use, how sensitive, accurate, or reliable that equipment is. And so we don't have a lot of consistency operator to operator, community to community.
The director of the Utah Division of Public Utilities, Chris Parker, says Enbridge Gas has an aggressive infrastructure replacement program for their distribution lines. Parker says they help set an annual budget that the company can spend on aging infrastructure. And educating the public can help stop a leak from getting any worse.
Using your nose, if the customer smells something, of course they know there's a problem. We have different tools to find the problem. We have meters that'll beep. The closer you get to it, the more the leak is happening.
At Black Diamond Experts, Darren Anderson says taking these safety measures is a part of their job.
This is what they use underground. Cities will have, quite a bigger diameter.
Back on Silver Avenue, the streets are now marked with spray paint to outline the work that Enbridge Gas is doing. As for Kathy Smith, she says she will continue to tend to her garden because she's grateful it's still there.
So I didn't know if I was going to have a house to come back to, but fortunately I do. So.
In South Salt Lake, Julia Sandor, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Utah Department of Commerce's Division of Public Utilities sent us a statement saying the division is currently investigating the incident, which appears to involve both electrical and natural gas facilities. They will evaluate the facilities, review maintenance histories, and assess other related activities as part of their investigation.
Well, the storm now moving away, even though we had just a few isolated showers here throughout the day, even a few isolated thunderstorms. Not a big storm, but we've been mentioning kind of priming the pump in that we have a bigger storm on tap to reach us by the middle of the week. And even a bigger storm as we look towards the weekend. Beautiful sunset, though, highlighting coming up on our Facebook page, Utah's Weather Authority. Eric, looking across the Salt Lake Valley, yeah, we're clearing things out, but we've definitely been feeling the cool today. Official high in Salt Lake City, 60 degrees, where on average we should be in the mid-60s. We're going to be on a little bit of a roller coaster ride with temperatures. We're warming up, coming back down. And then the warm up before our bigger storm for the weekend, where we've got 50s in the forecast as we look long range. Yeah, that storm for the weekend is really going to be cooling things down. Outside right now, though, as we are clearing out, it will be a cool evening where temperatures right now in the 40s in Logan, currently 50s in Salt Lake City, St. George right now. You're at 63 degrees, the flow out of the northeast, where we are expecting to see winds picking up tomorrow in preparation of a storm for Wednesday. And with that, temperatures back on the rise, where we're above average for the forecast. In Salt Lake City, expecting to reach a high of 68 degrees. Okay, here's some good news. Still looking for that weekend storm, St. George. It's not until then that we see a chance of rain, but finally a decent chance as we go with that storm system where it could be spilling over into the beginning of next week. Now, most of northern, central, and eastern Utah will see more significant precipitation, especially as we look with this Wednesday storm. Break Thursday and Friday. We get late Saturday afternoon into Sunday, and moving into the beginning of next week, we're going to see some showers and the potential maybe seeing some thunderstorm activity. Now, we've got a little bit of wraparound moisture for across southeastern Utah. This is where we definitely could see a chance of an isolated thunderstorm or a shower here in the overnight hours. As we go into Wednesday, this is when our front's going to be moving through. A chance of maybe seeing some thunderstorm activity near that front position, Wasatch Front, particularly the south end of the Wasatch Front through central and northeastern Utah. With this next storm system, it's going to be a good one, being a little bit more heavier precipitation as we look ahead. Under this northerly flow, though, we're starting to see drier air move in. So whatever showers we're seeing, they're quickly dissipating. Again, southeastern Utah, we might hold on to that threat a little bit longer. But this storm system moving on, we're gearing up for our next front. Let's talk about the timing of the storm, where for tomorrow, we're going to see a lot of sunshine across the state, clear conditions. But again, southeastern Utah, that threat of an isolated thunderstorm. We start increasing clouds tomorrow night, and then heading into Wednesday morning, it's late morning, we start to see some showers. But the tail end of the morning commute definitely could be wet, especially for the northern end of the Wasatch Front. Front then moves through. We see those showers and thunderstorms throughout the afternoon through central. Then eastern Utah, again, we don't see much action there across St. George, but Cedar City, definitely a possibility with this next storm. Now for tonight, it's 30s and 40s, so feeling that little chill in the air. It's cool starting off tomorrow morning, but we are looking at highs to be reaching the mids, even upper 60s here along the Wasatch Front, upper 70s in St. George, where again, focusing on for the weekend, that chance of rain, it's there, especially as we go Sunday into Monday. We'll kick up the winds though, especially Saturday, and it's 80s through the rest of the week, except tomorrow you should be in the 70s. We go 60s to low 60s Wednesday, that chance of some showers and some thunderstorms. Then a break until Saturday afternoon. Sunday, definitely seeing a good possibility of some thunderstorms and more rain and cooler temperatures on Monday. So ample amount of rain in the forecast, but in between we get some nice sunshine and mild temperatures. We're back after the break.
We have an update on the citizen referendum against the bill banning public employee unions from collective bargaining. The Lieutenant Governor's office reports more than 146,000 signatures have been verified. That is more than is required. Now it has to survive a 45-day period where people can withdraw their signatures. We should know by late May or early June whether the referendum will appear on the 2026 ballot. Tomorrow, the Salt Lake County Council will consider the sale of a chunk of the Salt Palace to the Smith Entertainment Group. It would be for the new Downtown Arts, Sports, and Entertainment District. The area under consideration is on the west side, closest to the Delta Center. The county is contemplating selling about 6.5 acres of land total. The county council will take public comment tomorrow afternoon before voting on a proposed sale.
As the state's nuclear ambitions grow, we have a potential site in the mix.
Utah is making a big push for nuclear energy. Today, Governor Spencer Cox held a ceremonial signing event for several energy bills passed during the legislative session. He says Utah has an opportunity to double energy production over the next few years.
I know that the future is bright. We're going to bring down prices. We're going to bring more industry into our state because Utah is being seen as a place where we actually get it and we do things right. This is what government efficiency is about. It's about making life easier for the people that we get an opportunity to serve.
Governor Cox also celebrated partnerships with neighboring states, including a new memorandum of understanding with the Idaho National Laboratory. Now, as the state looks to go big on nuclear power, we've learned where a plant could be built. What does it mean for the state and who could be involved? Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow has those answers.
The Intermountain Power Project is massive. Now it's teaming up with another big name to explore putting a nuclear power plant there.
This is an agreement between Energy Solutions, the Intermountain Power Agency, and the state of Utah to explore and evaluate potential sites for the location for a new nuclear facility.
The state's first nuclear power plant could be here at the Intermountain Power Project outside Delta.
It really is an evaluation process to say, would this make sense for this location?
IPP is massive in scale, and it's had many lives. The bulk of its power is actually generated for California. That's made it the subject of some fierce political battles as it's tried to transition away from coal. But the state of Utah is going big on nuclear energy, particularly small-scale reactors. The legislature passed bills to make it happen. The governor has touted it as necessary to meet growing energy demands.
I think it's a good idea. Our county's pretty much an energy county.
IPP is seen as an ideal location because it has a lot of the existing regional transmission infrastructure. It's also building a natural gas plant there.
That checks a lot of boxes even for a small nuclear reactor.
Millard County Commissioner Vicki Lyman says this could mean jobs for her community.
I think that this new technology is actually very safe. I like what they've done. I like the fact that they are now smaller reactors. They use less water than like coal-powered plants do. And that's something that our county is very concerned with, is water.
Wow, if there was a worse idea than continuing to run outdated coal units there, this is it.
Lexi Tuddenham with Healthy Environmental Alliance of Utah thinks it's a bad idea. She says all of these small-scale nuclear projects exist only on paper right now, and the expensive startup costs will be passed on to consumers.
Who is it good for? It's good for investors. I hate to say that because, I guess maybe people are going to run out and invest in energy solutions, but it is not good for ratepayers. It is not good for taxpayers, it is not good for energy consumers, and it is not good for Utah.
It is a big change for Energy Solutions, which previously only handled radioactive waste. Now they'll be involved in running a nuclear power plant.
We think it could be a great partnership for us to participate with the state and with entities like IPA for the potential development of nuclear in the state of Utah.
Coincidentally, Governor Spencer Cox is holding an energy summit on Tuesday, where he's expected to focus heavily on nuclear power. In Salt Lake City, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Continuing our team coverage now, Fox 13 News anchor Max Roth hit the road to Millard County today to listen to residents there about nuclear power in their community.
I worked for a long time on a project that was here that was called Community Environmental Monitoring Program.
I worked at that plant for 29 years and I know what it can do in the way of putting out some serious energy.
I used to work for the government outreach program to people who were affected by radiation.
There is so much fear of nuclear power plants, and I think it's unjustified.
Being close to a hydrogen plant sounds like a possible disaster.
It doesn't bother me. They have enough controls and stuff nowadays that it's not that big a deal.
This is the future of energy. It should be nuclear. It's clean, it's safe.
Everybody's concerned now about some upcoming energy shortages. It runs 24/7, regardless of weather, regardless of time of day. And it's stable.
There'd be a big influx of people, workers coming to build it, I'm sure.
Well, I think it would be good for people to have jobs in this area because that's a big problem.
And is that good or bad?
Oh, I don't know. It kind of messes up the small town.
Farmers are always struggling for water, and nuclear plants, they take a lot of water to keep the rods cool, don't they?
Unless somebody can come up with something better that does just as good, go for it.
This is a town that's educated about energy, that's also pro-energy generation, and as it looks from those people I talked to, unscientifically, pro-nuclear power. In Delta, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Coming up, as President Trump gets ready for his 100th day in his second term in office, Congress reacts to a new poll about his job approval rating. And caught on camera, the story behind this speedboat and why it went airborne. In world news, a widespread power outage paralyzed parts of Portugal and Spain today. The blackout knocked out traffic lights, triggering gridlock and temporarily shutting down cell service and ATMs. The outage also forced flights to be grounded, leaving significant disruptions at Madrid's major airport. Spain's prime minister suggested a problem with the European electrical grid, but said they are still investigating a final cause. You've got to see this incredible video captured in Arizona over the weekend. Look at that. You'll see it again in just a second. A powerboat flipped through the air several times before it splashed down. Helicopter came to check on the guys inside. This happened during a competition in Lake Havasu City on Saturday. The boat was traveling, get this, the boat was traveling at about 210 miles an hour, trying to break a speed record before it went airborne just like that, like a paper airplane. The two people inside the boat were hospitalized, but are expected to make a full recovery. As President Trump marks his 100th day in his second term in office tomorrow, a new poll shows he has the lowest job approval rating of any president in the past 80 years. The poll by ABC News, The Washington Post, and Ipsos, 39% of people approve of how Mr. Trump is handling his job as president. 73% say the economy is in bad shape, with more than half of them saying it's become worse since Mr. Trump took office. Members of Congress are polarized about how this presidency has gone so far.
Presidential terms are roller coaster sometimes. There's been a little tumult in the markets with the tariff policy and all of that, but I think all this is settling out.
First 100 days of the Trump administration have been characterized by chaos, cruelty, and corruption.
Before now, the lowest approval rating for a president at 100 days in office was President Trump's, 42%, back in 2017. Global shipping company DHL says it will restart shipments worth more than $800 from businesses to consumers in the U.S. The resumption is effective immediately. Earlier this month, DHL temporarily suspended those shipments due to a, quote, significant increase, unquote, in red tape at customs following the introduction of President Trump's tariffs. DHL now says those customs regulations have been adjusted after they had a constructive dialogue with U.S. officials. The Mauna Loa Macadamia Nut Company is voluntarily recalling some products over allergy concerns. The company is recalling its dark chocolate-covered macadamias due to the possible presence of undeclared almonds and cashews. Mauna Loa says people who have allergies or severe sensitivity to almonds and cashews run the risk of serious or life-threatening allergic reactions if they consume this product. No illnesses or adverse reactions have been reported to date in connection with this issue.
I'm Fox 13 News reporter Chris Reed at Black Desert Resort in Ivins, where for the first time in 60 years, the Women's Professional Golf Tour has come to Utah. I'll tell you about that coming up.
And as we go to break, sharing a photo highlighting the alpine wildfires where they picked up some rain, but more on the way. How many days this week will we see rain? I'll let you know after the break.
It was a big weekend for a couple of college football players in the state. We'll hear from Utah tight ends coach Freddie Whittingham on Caleb Lohner getting picked by the Broncos. And we'll hear from Utah State wide receiver Jalen Royals after getting picked by the Chiefs and teaming up with quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Coming up in sports.
Well, the showers did continue on today. Very isolated, scattered rain here across northern, central, and northeastern Utah, picking up 5/100ths of an inch today at the airport, where up to this point so far in April, about a half of an inch, where on average we should be over 2 inches. So 25% of average as we look, but we're going to get more before we end the month. At least for Wednesday, we see a good chance of some rain, even heavier, moving through portions of northern and central Utah. Right now in Salt Lake City, we're clearing out, hanging on to a few clouds. Temperatures right now in the 50s with overnight lows. Looks like they'll be getting down into the low 40s. Now, looking at the situation where we've had some weak storms move through, bringing scattered rain, helping out with the pollen situation just a little bit. We're still in that medium high category here across most of northern, central, and northeastern Utah. Last week, though, we were high across portions of northeastern Utah. Right now, medium, as you can see, in southeastern Utah. So we'll get some additional help, though, again, with an approaching storm coming in on Wednesday. So washing your car tomorrow, no issues. Wednesday, don't do it. If you can keep your car in the garage to keep it clean, you might want to do that, where Thursday and Friday we're bringing back the sunshine. But this Wednesday storm, it's impressive. At least it's going to bring a better chance of more widespread precipitation, heavier rain, especially as we go late morning on Wednesday through the afternoon. Looking at these amounts, potentially getting upwards of 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch, maybe in some locations a little bit more. The rain spreads across northern, northeastern into eastern Utah. Looks like it's avoiding St. George barely. Looks like at least there's a chance maybe seeing a few isolated showers near St. George with this storm system, but a better possibility as we look towards our weekend storm. Cool northerly flow. Looks like the clouds thinning out. Definitely seeing showers dissipating, except southeastern Utah. We can still generate overnight some rain, and starting off tomorrow morning, then you're clearing out as we're seeing the sunshine throughout most of the state. There's our next storm system lining up the cold front. Again, it gets here on Wednesday. So here along the Wasatch Front for your morning commute, you're starting off clear. It's cool. It's low 40s, and then we're going to see a lot more sunshine heading into the afternoon. Highs, it looks like above average, so we see a bump up in temperatures anywhere between 5 to 10 degrees, where we're near 80 degrees in St. George and getting into the 80s. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, low 80s. Then we kick up the winds, and then a chance of some rain showers Sunday and Monday. So beneficial rain desperately needed in St. George. You get it as we head into the weekend. Now, a chance of some thunderstorm activity as well with that storm system on Wednesday, then a break, then more rain and thunderstorms Saturday late through Sunday, spilling over into Monday. Then we'll see a bigger drop in temperatures, but we get back into the 60s and even 70s as we head into the weekend.
All right, thank you, Brett. The best players in women's golf are arriving in southern Utah for the LPGA's first stop in the Beehive State since 1964. The Women's Black Desert Championship starts Thursday in Ivins. Fox 13 News reporter Chris Reed evaded snakes to bring us this report.
There are some hazards that you just wait to play through. I'm at Black Desert Resort in Ivins, where just a few months ago, this was the center of the golfing world when the PGA tournament came in. Well, this time, it's the women's turn.
It was the first time in over 60 years to bring the men, and it's been over 60 years to bring the women. To bring them both in basically the same year was pretty amazing.
On Monday, as the pros were arriving, the last players trying to qualify for the tournament took to the course. On the 15th, one of their shots landed near a rattlesnake. They didn't mind waiting. Patrick Manning, who manages Black Desert, said there was an issue a week or so ago about having enough volunteers to raise those quiet signs and man the course. But he said Southern Utah came through to help the 20,000 expected here. From Ivins, Chris Reed, Fox 13 News, Utah.
I will start with tough news for Damian Lillard. The former Weber State star has a torn left Achilles tendon. He'll undergo surgery. It ends his playoff run with the Bucks this season and puts his next season in jeopardy. The 35-year-old is owed $113 million over the next 2 seasons. Game 4 between Cleveland and Miami was not much of a competition. The Cavaliers started the game on a 35-8 run. They led it by as many as 60 points. Former Bountiful and Utah State star Sam Merrill made 3 threes. Cavaliers won it by 55 points, the most lopsided series in playoff history by a combined 122 points in the 4-game sweep. Caleb Lohner played just 1 season of college football, but that was enough for him to get drafted by the Denver Broncos. Fox 13's Andrea Urban caught up with his position coach at Utah, who helped turn the basketball player into an NFL draft pick.
Caleb Lohner, a Utah-bred basketball player selected by the Denver Broncos in the 7th round of the NFL draft.
I feel like he was a basketball player playing with a football player mentality. I just looked at his traits His height, his weight, his size, the way he moved on the basketball court, how physical he was on the basketball court. And I thought that he would make a great tight end. At his official visit, my whole pitch was, I think he could be the next Jimmy Graham.
He goes up and takes it away.
The NFL looks for those guys that are freakish athletes. He's very dedicated. It's very important to him to learn the scheme. He was just like a sponge. His role primarily was in the red zone. He did have 5 receptions and all scores. 4 of them were for touchdowns. One of them was for a 2-point conversion. And the touchdowns, we talked to him about box out the defender, just like you would on a rebound, and go high point the ball, just like you high point the ball on a rebound.
And now Caleb Lohner gets to be coached by Sean Payton, who spent over a decade coaching Jimmy Graham.
The Broncos scout, I think it was the 5th round, he called and indicated that, they had a couple picks coming up and just wanted to know any final thoughts about Caleb. And then I was actually walking in the park with my mom and my daughter. And my daughter had her phone out and she says, "Caleb just got drafted by the Broncos." My message to him is that this is his opportunity, but he's got to seize it. He's got to go out there and earn his way. And the thing that I feel great about with him is that I know he buys into that. He knows that too.
With the Utes, Andrea Urban, Fox 13 Sports, Utah.
Utah State wide receiver Jalen Royals went in the 4th round of the Kansas City Chiefs, and he'll now be catching passes from Patrick Mahomes. So it was an amazing draft experience for him.
Is this real? Is this the Kansas City Chiefs calling me right now? And, I answered, picked up, Andy Reid was there, and GM and all of them. I was shaking, It's crazy to think about, your name being called. And Pat Mahomes is, once in a lifetime. You don't always get the chance to play with a great quarterback. So, I'm going to take as much advantage as is possible and, whatever he needs me to do. So that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, let's hope they both excel in the NFL. We'll be right back.
Finally, 20 lucky teachers in the Granite School District got quite a gift today. They received $350 classroom grants thanks to Granite Credit Union and the Granite Education Foundation. These 20 teachers were chosen out of more than 320 applications. Each teacher was surprised with a big old check in their classroom today. Way to go. So proud of them.
Sorry.
Thanks for being part of Fox 13 News at 9. Quickcast is up next, right, guys?
That's right.
Okay,
We
that's what I
agree.
thought. That's what I thought.